This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
4 of those being fatal. This event was initiated as an assault battery call on August 25th at 1:04 a.m. The officer-involved shooting occurred at the 3600 block of East Lake Mead Boulevard, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89115. You can see it on the map here to my left. The involved officer is Officer Rudy Sakpa. He is 32 years old, and he has been with the LVMPD since 2021. In this incident, Officer Sakpa was armed with a Glock 17 9mm, which was also equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed he fired 5 rounds during this incident. Officer Sakpa is assigned to the East Community Policing Division, Northeast Area Command. The suspect is identified. She is Sandra Lopez Ochoa. She was a 25-year-old Hispanic female adult. She was 5 foot 10 inches, weighing 450 pounds. She is photographed here to my left. Lopez Ochoa was armed with a knife. You can see the knife here. The suspect charges, had she survived, would have been battery, strangulation, attempt murder on a first responder, and assault with a deadly weapon on a first responder. The details of the officer-involved shooting are as follows. On August 25th, 2023, at approximately 1:04 a.m., a man called our dispatch center and stated his sister had battered him. He provided an address of an apartment complex located on the East 3600 block of Lake Mead Boulevard. A few minutes later, his sister, Sandra Lopez Ochoa, also called our dispatch center to report a domestic disturbance. Officer Sakpa and his partner responded to the apartment complex and contacted Lopez Ochoa's brother, who was waiting outside the apartment for officers to arrive. After speaking with him, officers determined there was probable cause to arrest Lopez Ochoa for domestic strangulation. Officer Sakpa and his partner contacted Lopez Ochoa inside of the apartment, and they found her sitting on the couch in the living room. After a few minutes of speaking with her, she stood up and grabbed the officer. She stood up. The officer grabbed her left wrist to place her in handcuffs. Lopez Ochoa then reached down towards the couch where she was sitting and produced a knife. She quickly turned towards the officer who was holding her left arm and stabbed him on the top of the head. Lopez Ochoa then turned toward Officer Sakpa while still armed with a knife. Officer Sakpa quickly drew his firearm, discharged his duty weapon towards Lopez Ochoa. She was struck and fell to the ground. Medical personnel were summoned for both the injured officer and Lopez Ochoa. The officer was transported to UMC Trauma, where he was provided medical treatment. He was later discharged from the hospital, and he is now at home recovering with his family. Lopez Ochoa was pronounced deceased at the scene by medical personnel. We will now play the body-worn camera from the OIS of this incident.
Can I tell my turn?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Oh, okay. So it was just really him. He's pretty decent, but I'm sorry, not like touch your arm or something. Like, yeah, just keep your hand.
It's actually on this holster. It's something that we do. It's nothing. It's not like we're gonna.
No, I'm asking you that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just resting my hand. I'm not holding the gun. Not even on the gun. I'm just holding it.
Do me a favor. Put your hands behind your back, okay?
Hey, are you good?
Yeah.
Hey, she stabbed you?
Can I like tell my part?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Oh, okay. So it was just really him. Not like touch your arm or something. Like, yeah, just keep your hand.
It's actually on this holster. It's something that we do. It's nothing. It's not like we're gonna.
No, I'm asking you that.
No, I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just resting my hand. I'm not holding the gun. It's not even on the gun, I'm just holding on.
Do me a favor, put your hands behind your back, okay?
You can clearly see the knife outlined on the video here. This concludes our briefing. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to domestic violence calls, can you talk to us a little bit about how dangerous those are for officers responding to family situations?
Calls. They are calls that our officers go on often. And as of August 18th of this year, our statistics actually show a 4.8% decrease in domestic violence related incidents as compared to last year. However, domestic violence related homicides show an 85% increase compared to the same time last year. So to me, that illustrates a very clear depiction of the amount of violence that can take place at these calls. And our agency takes the violence in these calls very seriously. Historically, domestic disputes can be probably one of the most dangerous calls our officers ever go on. And in every case, we make an effort to provide adequate resources and follow up for our victims to seek help. Because the truth is, we have to get the victims help and out of a situation so it doesn't end up in a deadly encounter. Thank you. Yes?
And then can we also ask about your officer? I know he was treated
Yes.
at least, so he's going to be fine, but can you tell us, was it just like a superficial wound, and will he return to duty?
He will return to duty. He will be at home recovering for a little bit. He is doing well. He's at home supported by family and friends. And it was definitely more than superficial. So he's doing good, though. He's in very good spirits. Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the brother and the other people in the house, do we know if they're facing any charges or if what's happening with them? Do we know?
At this time, the investigation is still ongoing.
Do you know if there were any prior calls between the brother and sister?
None that we were able to find. Anyone else?
Was it who lived at that house? Did they both live there?
It was a family apartment, but it is unknown at this point who exactly had residency there. Thank you for your time.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.